Okay, so now we're asked to find the derivative of sine inverse. And we can use the result that we just showed, if you're not sure. You can use the fact that you have that the derivative of the inverse of a function is equal to 1 divided by the derivative of the function with the inverse plugged in. So let's see how I use that here. So I'm looking for, in this case, what's taking the role of f inverse is sine inverse of x. So I'm going to write sine inverse of x. And these two things mean the same thing, right? These two things mean the exact same thing. The derivative of sine inverse, the derivative of sine inverse equals, in this case, right, the derivative of sine, right? The derivative of sine with sine inverse plugged in. So what is the derivative of sine? The derivative of sine is cosine. So it's cosine with sine inverse plugged in. And that is the derivative of sine, but there's a nice way to simplify this if we know our trick. There's a nice way to simplify this part here, which is what we got to spend some time thinking about. So it's saying sine inverse of x is, let's say, equal to some value y, whatever. If I apply sine on both sides, right, what happens is that since they're inverses of one another, they undo. This becomes x, becomes sine y. And what this means is that sine of some angle, right, here's y, sine of some angle is x over 1. Why is that true? Because sine is opposite y over the hypotenuse. And if I make the hypotenuse 1, then we should see that sine y is just x. Because it's just x over 1, right? So I just drew this triangle to illustrate that. Now, if I have that this side length in the triangle is x, this side length I don't know, and then this side length is 1. I can use Pythagorean theorem to get that missing side result. So this is x, this is 1. What does Pythagorean theorem say? X squared plus whatever this length is squared, which is what I'm missing, is 1 squared. I'm going to get that is 1 minus x squared, question mark. Question mark squared is that, so it means question mark is the square root of 1 minus x squared. And I have that missing side length as the square root of 1 minus x squared. Now, it's saying here, right, sine inverse of x. But if I call sine inverse of x y, what I'm looking for is cosine of y. And I can use this triangle where y is right here. This is the same triangle that I'm drawing, right? Y, and then it said x over 1, and then that forced this side to be 1 minus x squared. Cosine of y is this side over 1, which is just square root x, which is just square root 1 minus x squared. So this whole thing we should see is just 1 over cosine y. And then cosine y we should see is this side divided by this side. So cosine y is just the square root of 1 minus x squared. It's over 1. And then now I have the nice formula, that this one here. The derivative of sine inverse of x is just 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared.